Hi everyone, I hope you guys are all having a great day. Today I'm going to do a video where I talk about the books that I got to read for round 2 of the BookTube Prize. So, I was involved in round 2 of the BookTube Prize and I got to read books from Group C. Those books included Washington Black by Essia Dugin, Fresh Water by Akwaeke Emezi, Transcription by Kate Atkinson, Fire Sermon by Jamie Quatro, An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, and Warlight by Michael Ndachi. My first impressions of this group were, I had heard of most of them. I was very excited to read Warlight because I've heard a lot about the author and he wrote The English Patient and he's just supposed to be fantastic. Plus it was a World War II spy novel-ish story, and that was intriguing to me. Transcription was also, or is also a spy novel, so I was excited to get 2 books of that same topic in this group. I was looking forward to reading Washington Black. I understood it to be an escape from slavery story that had a bit of a magical scientific element thrown in there. I wasn't interested in Fire Sermon at all. I'm not really interested in stories about adultery, and I didn't know anything about Fresh Water. So I liked the cover of Fresh Water because of the snakes. Actually, at first I thought that the snakes were like the fin of a whale, but they're not, they're snakes. And that definitely plays a part in the story, but I didn't know any of that going into it. So I'll go ahead and talk about my rankings for these books. I am going to start at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to go from my lowest ranking books to my highest ranking books. Now, for the lowest ranking books, I had a difficult time deciding between 2. I really did not enjoy Fire Sermon or Fresh Water at all, but I couldn't decide which one I disliked more. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what they're both about, and then I'll explain how I ended up ranking them. So Fire Sermon is about a woman who has an affair, as I said earlier, and you get glimpses of her life before she's married, when she's dating this man, and she's a Christian, and she doesn't feel like she should be having sex before marriage, but he basically talks her into it, which is, you know, warning sign, okay? If you don't want to have sex and somebody talks you into it, he's not respecting you. So, warning sign number 1. But she feels like since she slept with him, she has to marry him now, so she's set on her path. And so she marries him, and they have, I would call it a bad marriage. Overall, the husband, seems like a really nice guy and everybody loves him, but he's pretty abusive in the bedroom. Not pretty abusive, just plain abusive. It's bad. And she really struggles with this, but she doesn't talk to anybody about it. She doesn't talk to him about it. He is not responsive about it, or he doesn't feel responsible for it. He feels like it's all her fault because she won't sleep with him, basically. And so it's just a really, really bad situation, and she struggles throughout her marriage, I think because of this, with being very attracted to other men and seeking relationships with other men. And she hasn't actually had an affair yet, but she does end up really falling for this one guy who's also a Christian and a poet, and he's struggling in his marriage. And so she says that she's, you know, struggling against this temptation, but she constantly goes to meet him and writes him letters, and that doesn't seem like struggling against temptation to me. But anyway, that's what she says she's doing. She says, oh, I'm trying so hard not to be tempted. But, you know, then she keeps calling him. So that's the story is about her basically descent into temptation, then what happens after she does end up having an affair with him. Fire Sermon, or no, Fresh Water with the snakes. You see the snakes. Fresh Water is about a young woman born in Nigeria who is basically inhabited by 3 demons, spirits, and these spirits cause her to do all sorts of violent, crazy things, and her mother eventually moves her to America for schooling, and she comes here to school, and she lives a very violent, self-destructive life, and it's all about her dealing with the demons inside of her. Now, we could take this as allegory, and that might be interesting, but it's not allegory. Akwaeke Emezi makes it very clear in the story and in other articles that she has written that this is like real life for her, which is interesting. I think That would be a sad, scary life. And so it was very violent. It did give me a very interesting perspective on another culture and religion in another culture. But overall, I did struggle with both of these books. Okay, so between Freshwater and Fire Sermon, I did rank Fire Sermon as number 6 because I didn't think that the writing was solid throughout. I didn't like that she had the affair and she was just never honest about it. I don't like that she stayed with her husband. She should have sought help in some way because he was abusive, but she never does anything about it except sleep with somebody else as if that's going to help her. And overall, I just didn't enjoy this at all. I will say there were 1 or 2 moments where I really enjoyed the writing style because I liked the way that she showed the passage of time. It really forced the reader forward, and I thought that was very well done. But I didn't like the overall message of the story, which to me felt like saying, you know, do whatever you want and blame it all on God when it's all said and done. So I just really wasn't for this one. I understand if people feel differently, that's just how I feel. I gave Freshwater number 5 because I thought that the writing overall was much better than Fire Sermon. It was more consistent throughout. There were parts of the writing that I really did think were quite beautiful. But again, overall, the message is do whatever the hell you want and blame it on the demons inside of you. Only slightly different than the overall message of Fire Sermon. So there you go, my thoughts on that. My next 2 books are also very similar. So, the way that the BookTube Prize works is numbers 1, 2, and 3 in our ranking are the ones that we think should proceed to the next round. Numbers 4, 5, and 6 are the ones that we think should not proceed to the next round. So I have Warlight and Transcription here, and I thought both of these books were just okay. I ranked them both like 3, 3.5 overall. So I had to decide which one I thought should move on in general. So again, I'm just going to tell you what they're about. Warlight is a story of a brother and sister, but really just the brother. During the war, their mother is sort of a spy, basically a spy, and then after the war, things are supposed to have settled down. They're back with their family again, but their parents are called off they say that they're called off for some job overseas, but really their mother was going back into spy work. And they leave the brother and sister pair with friends in their spy ring, basically. And so the first half of the book is about the boy's experience living without his parents and as he's sort of gaining his freedom all at once and building parental relationships with people who aren't his parents. They're his first real adult relationships with some very interesting characters. And then the whole second half of the book is him trying to figure out what happened to his mother, what his mother did during the war, what his mother did as a spy after that. I thought that the first half of this book was really compelling. I loved the writing style. I loved the pacing. I loved the characters, but I didn't like the second half of the book at all. I thought that it was very slow and choppy. I thought that also the way that the story played out, I thought it was sort of boring, and you never actually learn anything true. You are given the boy's speculation. And so there's a lot I liked, but the whole second half of the book fell flat for me. Transcription is pretty similar for me. It's a spy novel of a young woman who is roped into the spy world of World War II, and the whole first half of the book is about a particular mission that she was on. She was involved in spying on German sympathizers, and her job was to type up all of the interviews and experiences with these German sympathizers. Something happens, and then her time in the war is over, and then you flash forward for the rest of the book, and she's now working at the BBC, and she's sort of roped back into the spy world. Now, I didn't know this going into it, but this story is actually based on true events about a group of 5 British spies who are actually Russian agents. And so I didn't know anything about that. I think maybe I should have known more about that, and it would have helped the story make more sense to me, because throughout the story you're given these 5 characters, and your main character is sort of interacting with all of them, and they all come back into play the second half of the book when she's working for the BBC. But I didn't pick up on any of that. I thought, oh, well, these guys are weird. I wonder what they're doing there. So it was a great book, but I didn't have the background knowledge to really pick up on what was going on, which is a me problem, not a Kate Atkinson problem. So I did a little bit of research into these double agents, these real-life double agents, and it really made the whole second half of the book make a lot more sense to me. And it made me understand the main character's actions as she is involved with these double agents. So I will say I really enjoyed Kate Atkinson's writing, and her quirky characters were just brilliant, I thought. So these books are both just okay. They're both just 3 stars, and what I decided was I put Warlight in spot number 4 because the ending really fell flat for me, and Kate Atkinson's transcription at spot number 3 because I enjoyed it overall much more than Warlight. I do plan on reading more by both of these authors in the future, so if you have recommendations on books that you enjoyed by Michael Ondaatje and Kate Atkinson, let me know in the comments below. So now for spots 2 and 3. So in spot 2, I put An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. This book is about a black couple in the South, and they've been married for about a year, and then the man, Roy, is accused of raping a white woman, and he's innocent. And so he goes to jail, and this first half of the book is written in letters between Roy and Celeste, and you basically see their marriage disintegrate step by step as they draw away from one another, and then Celeste ends up having an affair. And so then you jump in 5 years later. Roy is released early from his sentence because they were able to prove that he was innocent, and then he goes back to Georgia and has to confront, or he and Celeste finally have to actually confront each other about their marriage. So I really enjoyed the letter aspect of this book. I thought that worked very well, and Tayari Jones did a really excellent job of showing the depth of emotion and pain that both of these characters are going through. But the problem is, both of these people are dishonest, selfish individuals, and then you got Andre thrown in, so you have a love triangle of dishonest, selfish people. And so it just breaks down very quickly because Roy and Celeste are separated from one another. I didn't really like the ending of this story because I don't think that Celeste and Roy are really going to be happy with the decisions that they made, because they're still pretty selfish. So they don't really change throughout the story. However, this book made it into spot number 2 because I really loved Tayari Jones's writing style, and I think that she has a pretty honest portrayal of humanity, and I appreciated that. Okay, finally in spot number 1, Washington Black. I really enjoyed this book overall. I loved the adventure aspect of this story. So you open with Washington Black, who is a young slave on a sugar plantation in Barbados, and his slave master is incredibly harsh and violent and cruel, and the slave master's brother comes in to visit. And this brother's name is Titch. He's an inventor, and he needs somebody small to help him with his inventions. So he chooses Washington Black to help him out. Their relationship develops over time. Washington Black is pretty intimidated by all white men at this point. He's constantly in fear of Titch for, I'd say, the majority of the first part of the book. He slowly does develop a relationship with Titch and learns to trust him, and actually learns to see him almost as a father figure. And so they end up, because of certain circumstances, which I'm not going to share, they end up having to escape Barbados on one of Titch's scientific inventions. And the adventure sort of ensues from there. They go to the United States, and then up to Antarctica, and then a few things happen. They end up in England or Canada for a little while, and then England, and then Morocco, of all places. So it's a grand adventure full of wonderful coincidences, which I don't typically enjoy in a book, but I really just enjoyed the trajectory of this story and the themes of family and freedom and identity, and that just very compelling search for your own identity and what you would do to find it and achieve your own freedom. I just think that Essia Dujan did a great job portraying all of those things in this story. The ending definitely, I just sat there and thought about all the possible meanings for this ending of this great story. So I absolutely loved this book. I think a lot of readers will probably struggle with the coincidences that happen. It's just one coincidence after another, but I personally enjoyed that element of it because Essia Dujan very clearly had a story that she wanted to tell, and overall I think she did a great job getting her characters there. There was one element of the story I didn't like. I didn't really like Washington Black's love interest in the story. I don't necessarily see why that was necessary. I don't really know that her character was necessary at all, and I don't think I've ever said this, but I think this story would have been just fine without any female characters other than Washington Black's mom. Which is probably a very anti-feminist thing of me to say, but I just didn't like her character. I didn't like the love interest character. I don't think she added anything to the story. I think that it would have been great if Washington Black had just continued this journey on his own. So those are my thoughts on that. It was my favorite book from the list. This is actually the only book that I would say I truly, truly enjoyed from this list. The other ones, some of them were well written, some of them I didn't think were as well written, some of them I didn't like the themes and messages involved in the stories, but overall, Washington Black was the best one in my opinion. I'd love to know what you thought. If you have read any of these books, let me know. If you judged Group C, definitely link your videos down in the comments below if you made one. So I am glad that I got to participate in this second part of the BookTube Prize. Thank you, Robert, for creating the BookTube Prize and allowing so many of us to participate, and thank you everybody for watching. I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye.